Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the General Pedagogy Session 1 for the topic gamification, blended learning, flipped classroom, and independent study. Okay. First, uh, 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 our presenter for today is me, Muhammad Akif, and Muhammad Shahid. Okay, for the instructional resource, the definition is the materials that are used to aid in the transference of information from one to another. Okay, there are several types of instructional material. Okay, first is non-projected display, where this is the display that used to show at the class without the electronic projector. And for example, chat box, marker box, and flip charts. And second is the printer and the related materials, where the textual and handout can be printing in large number, such as handout and assignment. Okay, next, the third one is the film and video materials, the media that enable audio signal with combine the moving visual. For example, YouTube video. And last one is the computer mediated materials, where the various material that require computer. For example, online loop. Okay, so we move to the blended learning. First, the definition is the blended learning is an approach to education that combines online educational materials and opportunities for interaction online with traditional place-based classroom method. Okay, in short, the blended learning is combination of online educational materials with the traditional educational classroom. Okay, there are several types of blended learning. Example is remote blended learning, where the student focus on completing the online course in the class and meeting the teacher intermittently. Okay, next is the flipped classroom, where the student give the content and they read at the home and will be presented in the class. Okay, next is the flex model, where the teacher guides student one-on-one or small group. Okay, next is the class rotation. Class rotation is where the face-to-face and online study time will be in the class, as we can see in the picture. Okay, next is the online rotation, where the student will go to the computer lab and study using the computer with the teacher supervise them. Okay, next is the individual rotation, where the student to rotate through the station like the class rotation, but the individual rotation is only the activities scheduled for them. Okay, next we go deeper to the flipped classroom, where the definition is the teaching strategy that reverse the traditional learning, where the student will be provided material and will be presenting in the class. Okay, this is the differences between the traditional classroom and flipped classroom. Okay, there are four pillars of flipped classroom. First, the flexible environment. Second, the learning culture. Third, the intentional content. And fourth, the professional educator. Okay, I think you can read by your own for the elaboration. Okay, next we go to the advantage and disadvantage. Okay, also you can read by your own the advantage and disadvantage of the flipped classroom. Okay, next we go to the gamification. Okay, definition of gamification is the use of game elements and game design technique in non-game context to digitally engage and motivate people to achieve their goal. Meaning that we use the game technique in the non-game situation. For example, in our case in education, to motivate and engage people to achieve our goals. In our case, to achieve the understanding in our lesson. Okay, so how does the gamification work? Okay, you can read by your own, and also there are several principles of gamification where we must have reward, we must do the loss aversion, we must do the status and repetition. Also, we must provide the feedback after doing the gamification. And also, there are several popular structures that being used worldwide in the gamification for education. For, there are four: tick for tat, points and badge, progress bar, and competition. Okay, for these structures and principle, you can read more at the link given in the slide. Okay, I will pass to the Shahid.
For the next part, we will talk about independent study. First, the meaning of independent study. Independent study is a form of educational activity by students with little or no supervision. The student need to do research with minimal instruction and guidance from the professor or teacher for an agreed upon a topic. It gives opportunity for students to explore their interests on a deeper level in order to decide how and where they will direct their studies. Next. These are the circle of independent study. It starts with question. And then we need to structure our plan of study and then find the evaluation, find and evaluate our information, and then organize the key information, and then synthesis our information, and then we need to reflect our information and relate it with our question, and then communicate. For communicate, usually we will do presentation, and then lastly we will evaluate our study. Next. So there are two types of independent study that we will focus in our presentation. With the first one is homeschooling. Homeschooling means educate the children at home instead of sending them to a public or private school. Homeschooling started in 1970, where some popular researchers such as John Holt and Dorothy write about educational reform, and they suggest that homeschooling is one of the best alternatives for education. Homeschooling is legal in many countries such as US, but however, is homeschooling illegal in Malaysia? Next. So in Malaysia, actually homeschooling is legal. You can read about section 29A, but to construct homeschooling in Malaysia, it is quite difficult because there is a lot of preparation and the Ministry of Education quite strict about it. Next. So you can read about this also and enjoy these memes. Next. So for the next part of independent study is distance learning. Distance learning is a learning process that happens without the student being physically present in the lesson. Historically, distance learning starts when the student need to communicate with their school or teachers by mail, sending email. With the development of technology and of course the pandemic COVID-19, distance learning is one of the best option to continue the teaching and learning process like we all do right now in this semester. Next. So there are 4 types of distance learning. The first one is video conference. The second one is hybrid distance education. The third one is open schedule online courses. And the last one is fixed time online courses. You can read about the difference between these type of distance learning. That's all from us. Thank you.